the MVP quarterback, the Super Bowl champion quarterback, and a guy who came real close to winning a whole lot of Super Bowls, as a matter of fact. Kurt, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good, Mike. How you doing?
Good. You know, you'd be the guy. If I was a quarterback who was having a bump in the road, if I was Sanchez, if I was Kubiak, if I was a lot of different guys, you'd be the guy I'd go to because you know what it's like to be overlooked. You know what it's like to think your career's over, and you might have a lot more talent than they do, but you know how to do these things and how to fight through these things. And a lot of quarterbacks face that. You know, we bring up Thursday night in Houston. Where do you think Kubiak is right now? Is he the future of that franchise, or is he going to have to go somewhere else?
Well, you know,
not Kubiak, Schaub. I mean, obviously not the head coach. I mean, where is Schaub? Where is he right now?
Well, I mean, I think anytime you're kind of at that stage in your career and a team decides to go a different direction, that's pretty much writing on the wall that we've decided you're not our guy moving forward. Now, does that mean it can't change? Of course not. But I just think with them making that decision, some of the issues that seem to have gone on, with Matt and some of the players on the team, just kind of give you the indication that we've moved on. And I think Case Keenum has played some decent football, although he hasn't won many football games. He's played some decent football, and I think enough to say, okay, I think we need to try something different. Matt was here for a number of years and had, an amount of success, but not the kind of success that most teams are looking for in regards to playoff victories and being able to get his team to the next phase. And so I really believe, unfortunately for Matt, because I think he's a really solid quarterback, that he'll be somewhere else next year.
Do you think Schaub can sell a team? Now, he's a guy who most of his stuff is off play action, off great running game. He's not a classic great thrower, and he didn't come up big in big games. Can he sell himself, you think, well, that he can be a guy who can lead a team?
Well, I think if you look at the tape, he makes a lot of big throws throughout the course of games. And so I think from that standpoint, when you look around the league and the landscape of the league, there's no question that he could sell himself as being a starter and should be a starter in this league based on what he's done and what else is out there. I think the hardest thing is, okay, but what does that exactly mean? In this day and age of $100 million quarterbacks, where does he fit in? Because, as you mentioned, I think the biggest knock is that in those big games, he hasn't necessarily played his best football. And so that's where I think, you're going to have the negotiations. But there's no question there's a job out there for him, and there's some situations, even if it's for him to go in and compete, that I think there's no question he would be the best guy for the job in a number of organizations.
Talking with Kurt Warner, of course, NFL Network. A couple of tough calls. Does Tennessee bring them both back and let them battle it out, or do they choose between Locker and Fitzpatrick? A lot of people seem to think Fitzpatrick could be their quarterback.
I'm not ready to say that yet. I thought Jake Locker, outside of the fact that he's been injured a lot, he showed a lot of promise this year. And I think when he came into the league, I think everybody kind of felt he was going to take some time. And then when he played, especially early in the year, making a lot of good decisions, not turning the ball over, making a lot of plays with his feet, which gave them an added dimension to their team, I really think he showed too much promise early on not to at least bring them both back and say compete or even give him the job and let him try one more time, because there was a lot of good things that he showed. I think the biggest thing is it just seems like he can't stay healthy. And it's tough to really commit to, long-term to a quarterback if they can't stay healthy.
All right, tell me what you see with Geno Smith.
I see a young quarterback that has just allowed all of this stuff to kind of pile on and just looks a little bit overwhelmed right now. Is that I'm watching him make decisions, and I see a guy that sometimes looks like he's just picking out a receiver, not really sure what's going on the back end, and just trying to jam the ball into him. And I don't know if all the stuff going on has really sped up the game for him. I see him at times, he goes to the right guy, but he's trying to really yank his throws and throw the ball too quick, because it's almost like he feels he's afraid that if he does it, it's going to be intercepted or it's going to go the other way, because that's happened a lot. But I also see a quarterback that's made a lot of big plays and a lot of big throws. So you see some potential there. I just think right now it feels like the situation has overwhelmed him a little bit. I don't know if it's because they started fast and now he struggled and the team's going the wrong direction. You know what it's like in the New York media.
So do you.
To have to have your struggles and to have everything coming down on you and everybody pointing the finger at you. I just feel like he's in a situation now where he's just a little bit overwhelmed, and he needs to fight through these next 4 games, get whatever positive he can out of it, and then use this offseason to really build and come back ready to play.
You think if somebody, and we're talking, of course, with Kurt Warner of the NFL Network, you think if somebody sits down in the offseason that needs a quarterback and goes through every one of Mark Sanchez's games, including his 4 playoff wins on the road. And some quarterbacks don't get that many in their life, okay? He's got 4 playoff wins on the road in his first 2 years. Do you think they see enough good things to say, let's bring this guy in and give him a chance, that he just needs a new home? Or did things get so bad that they say, you know what, I wouldn't touch him?
I don't think a team would just stay away from him completely. But I also don't believe, based on what we saw, even as a whole, that a team would, again, bring him in and say, we believe this guy will be our starting quarterback. I think it's another guy, a veteran guy, like you said, who's won some games. I think people look at him more as a game manager,
right?
But that a guy that can come into the right
Which
situation.
is a bad tag to have. You get that tag that you can't make every throw.
Well, I think to a degree, but I think, again, with where the league's at now, I think you can come in as a game manager in certain situations and have success. Again, I don't believe those guys ever are going to win championships if they don't have the ability or don't have just the mental capacity to really try to push the ball and make those big throws. But I believe in so many of these situations where you have a decent defense and a decent running game that you look to go, hey, if we don't have our guy, if we can bring in a guy that can manage things and make some throws and win some games for us, you're willing to do that. And I kind of think Mark could be one of those guys that needs a new home, needs a new atmosphere, I believe. And then we can really get a chance to see what he's all about and what his future is. But I believe a team would be willing to bring him in to compete, just not bring him in and say, you're going to be our guy right off the bat.